Welcome into the next lesson called How to Eliminate 90% of Your Errors. Although this sounds like an optimistic goal, this is totally possible. And in a while, I'll just show you exactly how you can do that. The thing is, in this lesson, I'm going to share with you my coaching experience. I've been teaching lots of different students, and I see exactly what mistakes they're making and what's the reason for those mistakes. And what I can tell you is that books and real life are oftentimes very different. I think you know that yourself. The chess tutorials shows some intricate concepts, but when it comes to actual games, things are much different. Let's go to the chessboard and I'll show you what I mean. Here's the game between two amateur players. They are rated about 2000. It is white to move at the moment. Currently, black is attacking the white's dark squared bishop on b2, and white decided to remove the bishop from the attack and at the same time to hit the black's rook on b8. In reply, black ignored that threat and captured the pawn on a3. White grabbed the rook and oops, it's rook a1 checkmate. Now, let me ask you, why did this happen? How do you think? Why did white lose the game so easily? It is not because he is a total beginner, because he is not. Also, it obviously has nothing to do with chess calculation or visualization skills or tactical skills or anything like that. The move rook to a1 is absolutely simple. So why have white missed it? It is not because the move was difficult. It is just because white was not thinking about that at all. If we take a few moves back, you'll see that white played bishop e5, attacking the rook and hoping to capture it. And therefore, while black left the rook on b8 and did his move, white just gladly captured the rook. So white didn't even think about some other variations or what could black do. He just grabbed the rook, he was happy about that. It was his intention and he's doing it. So you see, it has nothing to do with chess skills. It is all about psychology. Time for an anecdote. I'll give you a moment to read it. So what's the point of this? Well, you see, we all are self-centered. So we think about ourselves most of the time, about our plans, our problems, our intentions, our emotions, and so forth and so forth. But we are self-centered and we think about us. That is normal. However, in chess, as well as in general life, it sometimes can bring serious troubles because we do not pay equal attention to the other people. And in chess, it's pretty obvious that there are white and black pieces, there are two equal armies, they have equal say, and you have to pay equal attention to the plans of both sides, of white and black. While for us, it is so much natural to pay most of the attention to only the plans of your army and do not think equally careful about your opponent. But it's a serious mistake and you have to allocate enough time to think about opponent's plans. For doing so, there is one simple question that you need to remember and most importantly to apply all the time. Here's the question. What attacking moves can my opponent play? This question is very simple. What's difficult is to discipline yourself to keep asking yourself this question after every move. However, if you develop this habit, it will reduce 90% of your errors for sure. Here is another game. It is white to play. White played queen to b3. We can see the quite strong tension in the center. Both players are attacking each other and white is increasing the pressure. Black removed the queen by playing queen a6. And how would you play here as white? How do you think? In the actual game, white played e takes d5 and overlooked the black's reply bishop a4, which attacks the queen and the rook, which stands behind the queen. As you can see, the white's way of thinking was wrong here. At this point, once black played his move queen to a6, white should have asked himself, what attacking moves can my opponent play? He should have asked himself, what's the idea of that move queen a6? What is black going to do next? At the very least, if after white decided to capture black's pawn in the center, before playing this move on the board, white should have paused for a second and asked himself the question, okay, if I grab that pawn on d5, which attacking move can black play? You see, if white would ask himself this question either after black's move or before playing white's intended move, white would certainly notice the move bishop a4. But because white never thought about that and was totally focused on his own plans, he overlooked that move bishop a4. By the way, in the particular example, it's not the end, although white lost the game after that, but he didn't notice a very powerful blow for white. Here white can push the pawn to d6. It's a sudden combination. And then, in case black accepts the queen sacrifice, which he must do, white recaptures, attacking black's queen on a6, and then the queen can go to b6 or b5, but in whatever case, white will then grab the bishop, attacking the rook, and after rook e8, white's going knight c4, threatening to go knight d6, attacking everything in the black's position, and all of a sudden white has so powerful attack. And white already collected 2 minor pieces and he's going to keep grabbing more material. However, it was a different story. It was just a tactical opportunity which white missed anyway. But the main idea of this story is that after your opponent plays his move, you gotta ask yourself, which attacking move can he play next? Now let me show you another very typical mistake. In this position it was black to play, and black played bishop to f8, attacking white's pawn on e4. How would you play here as white? In the actual game, white noticed a tempting idea of going queen to c4, and by doing so, white is aiming at the pawn on f7, and therefore, if black continues his intention to grab the e4 pawn, white just goes on with queen f7 and all the way up to g8, which is a checkmate. Oh, that's a really tempting idea for white for sure. So let's go back to the position when white played queen to c4. So white is attacking that f7 pawn. In case black tries to protect it by the rook to e7, white can go knight f5, threatening to grab that rook with check, or if rook goes away, white can still capture that pawn on f7. So everything looks good for white, and that's what white did in the game. He played that move queen to c4. You may wonder what's wrong with this. The problem here is that oftentimes when you see a really tempting idea that can bring you a nice victory, you really hope that it should work, and you don't pay enough attention to opponent's defensive resources, or you just hope that your opponent will fall into your trap. But both hopes are for nothing. In chess you have to be realistic, and you have to assume strongest replies of your opponent. You cannot hope that your opponent will play foolish moves and will help you execute your plans. This will not happen. And what happens in reality? Well, you know what? Your opponent will definitely try to refute your idea. And that's what happened in the game. Like played knight e5, not only protecting the f7 square, but also attacking the white's queen. And here white realized that queen takes b4 doesn't work because of c5, with a double attack of the queen and the knight. And therefore white had to retreat back to e2. Black continued with c5, kicking away the knight, and then knight takes c4, and white crumbles, and white lost in a few moves. The starting position of this example was about equal, and white lost just within a few moves simply because white was not realistic enough, and white was hoping for an idea that was too easy for black to spot and to counteract. Here is another example. This time it is black to play, and black played pawn to g5. How would you reply as white? Well, you know that there should be some trick here, don't you? Anyway, In the actual game, white took that pawn after xg5, and I can understand why. It looks really good. In case black grabs that pawn back, white will continue with queen f6 check, attacking the rook, attacking the f7 pawn, and obviously white's winning here. So it was very tempting for white to grab that pawn on g5 and open the rook on f2, and everything is so cool. And you know what's the problem here? The problem is black can go rook h4, and all of a sudden it's checkmate. By the way, there is one interesting thing here. I'm pretty sure that if I would set this position on the chessboard for you and would tell you that this is a tactical puzzle and you need to solve it, I'm pretty sure that you would find the move rook h4 for black pretty quickly. However, in the real game, oftentimes people overlook moves like that. Why does it happen? Again, it's not about tactical vision even, it's rather about psychology. When you see the position like that, and you know that white can take the pawn on the g5, and you see that everything looks so tempting for you, you know that now you can, on the next move, play queen f6 and start attacking opponent's king, and you're close to checkmate, and you hope that it will work out. You want to win the game. So you see a little bit start dreaming here instead of staying realistic, and keep calculating variations, keep asking yourself, what is the attacking move of my opponent, what can he play, why he played g5, was there any idea behind it? You see, when you stop being objective and realistic and instead start to pursue a certain idea which just looks tempting to you, then there is a great chance that you will overlook something and all of a sudden will lose the game like that. In this lesson, we were talking about very common psychological problems of chess players that makes players make mistakes, make blunders and make terrible mistakes which cost them a lot of games. If you admit that these mistakes may happen in your games as well, and will start paying attention to these aspects of your chess games, then for sure you'll be able to reduce quantity of blunders and big mistakes in your games down to maybe only 10% of your games, and your results will go up significantly. So what are the main things that you need to keep in mind? The first thing, always remember to ask yourself this question: what attacking moves can my opponent play? If you keep asking yourself this question after every move of your opponent, then you will never overlook opponent's good moves. And this way you will pay equal attention to your plans and to the plans of your opponent, and you will keep the situation under your full control. The second advice is to be realistic. When you see a certain tempting idea, do not just hope that it will work out. You need to calculate variations accurately and find out whether this idea works or it doesn't. While calculating variations, stay realistic. Do not hope that your opponent will play foolish moves and let you realize your idea. Assume the strongest play of your opponent and check whether your idea still works out or not. If you follow this advice and pay equal attention to you and to your opponent's ideas, you will reduce your mistakes tremendously and improve your results just as much.